There's a grocery store you've probably walked into 100 times without really thinking about it. You grab what you need, tap your card, and head out. But there's more to this place than you'd expect. While it might look like just another grocery store from the outside, it's quietly pulling off something that's almost unheard of in modern retail. It refuses to be a chain. Sure, the branding might make it look like your typical chain, but IGA works differently. It isn't one big company with dozens of identical outlets. Each store is independently owned and run by people who actually live in the community. These owners know the area, shop beside their customers, and they've often been part of the neighborhood for years. It's not like a franchise in the usual sense either, as it's more like a partnership where each IGA store operate at their own terms with the support of a group called Metcash, which we'll get to later. Let's zoom out for a second. At chains like Coles and Woolies, nearly everything is centrally managed, from the layout of the aisles to which brands make it onto the shelves. Decisions are made in head offices, guided by various data and metrics. If a product isn't performing well across the country, it's pulled from circulation, regardless of how popular it might be in certain suburbs or communities. It works differently at IGA. Store owners have the freedom to respond directly to what their community wants. If there's a demand for Polish pickles, gluten-free pancake mix, or even some niche energy drink that's trending with teenagers, they can bring it in without waiting on head office approval or getting caught up in corporate red tape. And that flexibility makes every store a little different. Walk into 3 IGAs and you'll find 3 different personalities. One might lean into gourmet deli goods. Another could be packed with international snacks. The one around the corner from you might prioritize cheap essentials and school lunchbox fillers. That's what sets IGA apart. Instead of following a rigid national template, each store is shaped by the people it serves. Your local IGA reflects the needs and habits of your neighborhood instead of some broad one-size-fits-all plan with a nationwide rollout. Now, going back to Metcash, they're the engine in the background. Metcash is a wholesale distributor that supplies products, organizes national advertising campaigns, and helps IGAs access bulk deals so they can stay competitive. However, they don't own nor operate any of the IGA stores, nor do they tell owners what to sell. Instead, they provide the toolkit, and the rest is up to the local operators. So yes, there's a unified brand, and yes, there are shared catalogs and promotions, but when it comes to things like what's on the shelves, how the store is run, or how the store fits in the community, those decisions are made locally. This model creates a sweet spot where it blends the convenience of a big-name supermarket with the charm and flexibility of a neighborhood store. That idea is best represented by the IGA stores in more rural areas. In big cities, we're spoiled for choice with Coles, Woolies, Aldi, even boutique grocers on every other block. But out in smaller towns, options get thin. These stores become lifelines. They keep fresh produce and pantry staples flowing in towns that the major chains have written off. They adapt when supply chains falter, they help when disaster strikes, and they double as hubs for local connection. Some run bulletin boards with community events, while others act as emergency centers during floods and fires. This kind of community connection is a core part of how the IGA model is designed to work. Because when your store is owned by someone who lives in the area, that person knows what's happening on the ground. During COVID, many store owners personally delivered groceries to elderly customers or opened early for essential workers. Talking about pricing, because that's often the main thing people bring up when they talk about IGA. There's a perception that IGA is more expensive than the big guys, and yes, in some places, that's true. Smaller stores can't always match the bulk buying power of Coles and Woolies, especially in remote areas where freight costs stack up quickly. Pricing at IGA has long varied from store to store, and that inconsistency is built into how the business works. Since each location is independently owned, there's no central pricing policy. In city suburbs, where competition is high, many IGA stores keep their prices competitive, sometimes even cheaper than the majors on everyday staples. But in rural and remote areas where freight costs are higher and other options are limited, prices can spike. That disparity isn't always well understood by shoppers, but it reflects the logistical challenges of getting stock to smaller regions, especially when there's no Coles or Woolworths nearby to keep things in check. It's one of the unavoidable tensions in IGA's model. It empowers local ownership, but that also means pricing is shaped by the financial realities of the area. Some stores use that freedom to run sharp promotions. Others, especially in regions with low foot traffic and high freight, simply don't have the scale to compete on price. But what IGA stores often can compete on is flexibility. Owners aren't locked into rigid supply chains or fixed national deals. They can source from local growers, bakers, butchers, and small suppliers, and many do. It's not uncommon to find homegrown honey, local coffee, or handmade jams alongside the big name brands. Supporting nearby producers not only builds loyalty with shoppers, but also shortens the supply chain and keeps money cycling through the local economy. This flexibility also proved critical during moments of national disruption. During the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic, when panic buying and supply shortages left major supermarkets with empty shelves, many IGA stores were able to adapt quickly. IGA stores were able to adapt quickly because they could act without needing head office approval. Local owners started sourcing goods from independent wholesalers, adjusted stock levels based on what they could actually get, and in some cases, made direct arrangements with actual producers. That ability to move fast, especially in regional areas, helped keep some communities better supplied when the national chains were still catching up. While major retailers race to modernize, IGA's approach tends to be slower and more selective. Some stores have introduced click and collect systems or upgraded their refrigeration, but there's no coordinated national rollout. Decisions around tech and layout are left to individual owners, and the pace of change reflects that. A store might modernize because it makes sense for the local community, not because a head office is imposing modernization. The result is a retail experience that doesn't always feel modern, but often feels familiar. For shoppers in regional towns and outer suburbs, that familiarity can carry real weight. IGAs are often among the few businesses that remain stable as other local shops shut down or get absorbed by larger chains. They're not always the cheapest, and they don't offer every trending product, but they tend to stick around, which, in some places, matters a lot more than price. In many ways, IGA filled in the gaps left by the larger chains that don't always look impressive from the outside, but for many communities, it's simply the store that's still there. And in a retail landscape shaped by consolidation and central control, that kind of presence is harder to come by than it used to be. But what do you think? Do you actually shop at your IGA? Do they evoke a certain emotion, or do they feel like just another copy of Coles or Woolworths? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below and let's discuss. And if you enjoyed this story, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell so you never miss out on more deep dives like this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, stay curious.